Let us today see about the WAP and WML. So WAP stands for Wireless Application Protocol, which is used by handheld devices basically. And since it is a wireless application layer protocol, generally whenever information is to be accessed or services have to be asked for using handheld devices like PDAs. Often we access information through mobiles, right? Uh, Through tablets and all. So this WAP protocol is used as a communication protocol in case of handheld devices. Understood? So generally, whatever micro browsers we use on our mobiles, right? So those are designed with the help of WAP protocol, right? Now, what are these micro browsers? Simply, as I told, those are the versions of your conventional browsers which are able to work on your mobile phones, right? So basically a browser which is designed to be used on mobiles. That is a micro browser. So WAP protocol uh, is designed to perform communication over these micro browsers. Fine. Now, why there is a special need for such a protocol and why there is a special need for browsers for mobile phones? Definitely, uh, the computational power and the information exchange platform is different, right? In case of normal systems and mobile devices, right? The major thing is the computational power. That is why instead of using the conventional browsers, we use micro browsers. And the protocol should also be that much lightweight, which should work with your handheld devices. And that is why we require the WAP protocol for communication. Yeah, as I told, it will allow us to create web applications that work with the WAP protocol for the mobile devices. And another important thing for developing content for these micro browsers, we use the WML language, wireless markup language. Okay, so this was the basic thing, the WAP protocol. Yeah, as I told, the basic aim for the wireless application protocol is to provide the normal web-like experience on portable devices, right? So whatever browsing experience we get on when we are using conventional browsers, the same experience we are able to get with the help of WAP on small portable devices. Right? This is how the architecture is, uh, but we are going to focus on the first layer, that is the application layer, the wireless application environment, because the content development part that is done for the handheld devices, that is done at the application layer. Okay, all other layers are performing the task of uplifting whatever information is accepted from the bearers, like all different communication mediums like CDMA and all. From this information is has to be presented uh, through the application layer, and that is why the content development part is in the application layer. So we are going to focus on this layer specifically. Fine. So what are components of this application environment layer or wireless application environment layer? So firstly, we will require some medium of addresses, right? So the same medium that we used for conventional web applications, the URL and URI, the same medium we are going to use for addressing purpose. Okay, so whatever resource we are going to address, that is by using this URL and URIs. Fine. Now we require some language in which the content should be visible. So in case of conventional web applications, we have HTML, right? So which is similar to the WML, and we are going to use WML in case of developing contents for handheld devices, web content for handheld devices. Fine. Now, similarly, like we have HTML for web applications, and for client-side processing, we use JavaScript, right? So similarly, for handheld devices, we use the WML script for any client-side processing, like for input validation and all, right? So we will use WML script. And finally, we have the wireless telephony application environment, which is more of related to the hardware part. Okay. Yeah, let us see what this WML is, which is important to us since we are developing content. Okay, so as I told, it is a markup language used for wireless WAP specifications to develop the content for WAP protocol, and we use this. I mean, this WML language is basically used WAP. That means whatever communication we have to perform with the help of WAP protocol, that information or those content should be able to develop with the help of WML language. And this information may be accessing some HTML part also, because most of the tags that we use in HTML, most of the tags are similar to those which we are using in HTML. Whatever we see in WML, the same tags we have also seen in HTML. Some tags are different, which we will discuss later on. Fine. Now, yeah, so that was all. And so as I told, whatever text portion we have to display of the web pages, so that text portion is to be written by using WML language for all the handheld devices. Okay. Now, what mechanism we are using in case of WML? Like for HTML, we had a fixed hierarchy that we have the HTML tag, we have the title tag, we have the head tag, and then whatever content has to be presented to the user, that has to be written inside the body tag, right? That is the aim. Similarly, the WML also follows some convention. It uses the deck and card mechanism. So whatever information we have to put on the WML pages, so all that information is placed on multiple cards. Okay, and when we group such cards, it is called as a deck, right? A bundle of cards called as a deck. Now you can consider a deck similar to a HTML page which is having n number of cards. Okay, so whenever a user will navigate to a particular deck with the help of any micro browser or WML browser, uh, should be able to do it from a particular card present on the earlier WML page. Fine. So we'll see an example with which things will be more clear. Okay. Prior to that, whatever tags WML offers, some of those important tags are given over here. So first one is the paragraph tag, which we use in HTML also. Then there is an anchor tag, again used in HTML. href will give you a medium to define the URL to which we have to navigate. Then do tag, again required for performing actions. Then the go, similar to anchor tag, we have the go tag. But generally, whenever we are navigating website or a HTML page, we use the anchor tag. Okay. But whenever we have to navigate to a WML page, we use the go tag. Okay. The use of both these tags is the same, but even from a handheld device, if we want to navigate to HTML page, we will use the anchor tag. And whenever we have to navigate to a WML page, we will use the go tag. Fine. There's a timer tag which allows us to trigger events depending upon what time frame we are passing to it. So always we are specifying it in terms of 1/10 of the second, that is 0.1 second, 0.2 seconds, so on and so forth. So the time frame for the event triggering is offered in that proportion. Input tag, we know it, used in HTML also. Previous tag, so whenever we have to return back to the previous page or define some functionality which is related to the previous page from where we have landed to the current page, then we use the previous tag, right? Then the other one is to access any variable's value. So dollar and in brackets will specify the name of the variable in order to access the variable's value. Now which variable is this? This variable is the WML script variable. Like we use the JavaScript variables. Similarly, in order to access the value of any WML script variable, we will use this notation. Fine. Again, image tag is the same. Post field tag is used to set the parameters present in the URL. So we know whenever we have to pass some information from the current page to the another page, we mention the URL parameters, right? So in case of WML, we are going to use the post field tag, then specify the name of the variable as the name attribute, and then value for that variable as the value attribute. Understood? So that is the use of post field tag. Select tag used to create a selection box, and the option tag is used to create different options from where we can select, right? So another pair of tags used in WML. Fine. So all these are used according to the application setup. Here is the general structure for a WML document. So you can see that the document type is WML and other metadata, whatever we provide in case of HTML also, the same metadata is provided, but here document type is mentioned as WML. Fine. Like HTML, we are using the WML tag over here in WML documents, inside which all the card content is encapsulated. Fine. So we start the card. You can consider the card as the body tag. Fine. But the only difference is we can have more than one cards in the same WML document. Okay. Whereas in case of HTML, we generally use only one set of body tag. Fine. So in the card, whatever content is to be displayed with the respective tag information, we can arrange that information in the required format and then specify many other cards, whatever we want. So generally, we can have IDs for each of the card so that whenever we have to update any card, we can easily access only that card in a given WML document with the help of ID of that card. Okay, so here you can see an example. We have given ID to a card and then a title maybe if it is required. Then we are going to send some information from the current card to some new WML document. Okay, so the name of that document you can see new card.wml, where we have to send the information, right? And since we are going to access a WML, or we are trying to target a WML page, so we are using using the go tag, as I told. So whenever we have to navigate to a WML page, we use the go tag. And the go tag is not used directly, but it is used inside a pair of anchor tags. So this is a anchor tag which we use in WML specifically. Okay. Now inside that, whatever parameters we have to send along with the URL, we are defining those parameters with the help of post field tag, as I told. So we are sending two parameters x and y and their respective value 17 and 42, for example. Understood? So from the first we are navigating and we are sending parameters by using post field attribute. Okay. Another way, on the right hand side you can see there is another card which again is navigating to some WML page. But here, while navigating, we are specifying the parameters by using the set variable tag or set var tag. Okay. And again, the format remains the same. It is a name value pair. So we are specifying the names for the variables to be sent. Uh, and their respective values. Fine. But the difference is that we are actually sending the parameters along with the URL in case of the first method, that is the post field method. But in case of set var, we are setting the variables which are to be used on the target page, target WML page. Okay. So we can understand that if certain data is required on the next page, we are going to set those variables in the current page for that page. So that is the difference between post field and set variable. Understood? Yeah. So set variable can be used it can be executed with all of these tags. Along with go tag, we can also have the variables to be set for the previous page. Right? What we are doing over here, we are using the go tag, and for the next page we are defining these variables. Right? We are setting the variables. But instead of go tag, we can use the previous tag, so that we want to set these variables for the previous page. Okay. And also for the refresh action. So whenever a page will be refreshed, these variables will be set and will be used on the same page on the refresh action. Understood? So these set var tags can be used in case of go tag, previous tag, and refreshed. Okay. Uh, Fine. The same thing is given. We are setting variables before we move to the other card actually. So we are embedding the variables which are required on the next page, but it is impractical to set the variables, right? We are not aware of what exactly we will require on the next page, so as to set those variables from now only, right? So that is why instead of using the anchor tag and the go tag, we use the on event and refresh tags or elements, right? uh, which will force your set variable tag to execute, and those values will be set. Fine. But important to understand that this on event and refresh tags will be working or will be forcing the setting of the variables only when we are moving in the forward direction. Okay, just see this example, it will be clear. So for example, this is the page newcard.wml that we were trying to access, right? This is the page. And once we have landed on that page, we are defining on event tag, and the type field is set to on enter forward. That means whenever we reach this WML page in a forward direction, only then we will be setting these variables inside the refresh tag. Understood? If we move back using the browser's back button, if we try to move back to the previous page, then in that case, these variable values won't be set. Understood? So that is how we can use the set var tags with on event and refresh tags. Clear? Fine. Just remember the mechanism. Everything else is the same as we do it in HTML. These a few things are different. That is why we are focusing on that. Fine. So like I told, since we are having JavaScript to work as a client-side scripting language, we use the WML script in case of wireless markup language for the scripting purpose, right? So whatever processing has to be performed on the client side, that means on the micro browsers on handheld devices, we use the WML script for that purpose, right? It is similar to like JavaScript was similar to any other programming language, but we don't consider it as a programming language because it has its own restrictions, right? Similarly, uh, WML script is also considered as a client-side scripting language, but it is not a full-fledged programming language. But it is similar to JavaScript. It is more lightweight, and that is why for handheld devices with limited computational power, these WML scripts are well worth. They are more ideal for the use on handheld devices since it is lightweight. Okay. So whatever, as I told, whatever computation and processing has to be performed, like validation and all, that can be performed using WML scripts on the wireless devices. And why we perform these computations on the client side, it is simply because we want to reduce the number of requests and the responses which come from the server, right? For every validation, if the server is getting requested, so the number of communication trips increase, and that adds to the overhead of the network, right? That is why we reduce the number of requests and corresponding responses by performing some computations on the client side itself. That is the use of JavaScript also, as you all know, right? Similarly, to reduce the number of requests, we use WML script in case of wireless devices. General use of WML script, as you can see, is validate user input, generate certain dialog boxes in case of uh, wrong input, or in case of some action which requires intervention by the human. So for that reason, dialog boxes may be generated through WML script. Error messages again can be shown through the script, and additional facilities that we want to access from the user's device. All those facilities like any file access or all of that we can do with the help of WML script on the user's device, right? So these were the general uses of WML scripting. Last part, application domains. So whatever applications we had for the HTML web pages, when we consider the scenario of using the same web pages on handheld devices, the same application areas are getting covered in case of WAP as well. So when we talk about mobile banking, when we talk about any financial apps that we use through the mobile, uh, shopping web pages, ticketing, that means booking of a ticket for entertainment purposes, service related portals like for the weather report, e-messaging, everything web protocol has an application in each of these domains. Okay, so this was all about the WAP